Hey gang, for this last loop inspection, that doesn't sound right. Shell dive thing? Last loop thing. I thought that I would take a look at a loop that I think most people are overlooking, and one I think will be the alpha game loop in this game. Intrigued? Let's get this. Near the tail end of December of 2015, about a year after the Kickstarter wrapped up, and into this light where the project had been funded to an insane, unexpected degree, CIG was still in their creative phase, trying to come up with ideas that would justify the massive support they had just received to just go wild. And into that tabula rosa came this. It seems kind of innocuous at first, and I'm sure that's how this loop has snuck under the radar for so long. But here we go. If you aren't familiar with it, this is the Reliant, but not just any Reliant. This is the Reliant Mako, affectionately called the news van. So in a game that's filled with combat and industrial ships, how's a thing like a news van carve out a niche? Well, let's get into it. In 2015, shortly before the Reliant and the Mako concepts were rolled out, Chris Roberts was quoted in a few articles that I just made up saying this: "There will be no gameplay more important or influential than the media one. While there typically isn't an endgame in MMOs like what we're envisioning for Star Citizen, this will not be the case for the news van. The news van will allow the player to actually win the game." He went on in this imaginary article to spell out exactly how one would win the game, carving out first a small beat of stories, but gradually growing it into an interstellar media empire through which one could influence the entire direction of the game. Putting the right story here or there could control huge sectors of the economy. CR actually sounded a little scared of what he was creating, adding in that CIG would be developing video editing software for the Mako that would rival that of Adobe's Premiere Pro, incidentally the program that I use for editing these videos, as well as recording software that would be exponentially more powerful than OBS, the program I use to record the B-roll for these vids, including this one. Recently, in another article I also just made up, CR was quoted as saying that Tony Z hasn't been seen in the last year or so because he is exclusively working on creating an artificial intelligence based on Walter Cronkite. To help facilitate this, CIG has used a not insubstantial portion of the $500 million they've made so far to clone the influential newsman, despite Brokaw saying they do it for free. I mean, being able to win Star Citizen alone would make purchasing something like the Mako make a lot of sense. Someone actually buying the thing with real money, I mean. So you might be asking yourself, wait, does Don Steeler actually own one of those things? Yes. Yes, I do. And you might also be asking yourself, why does Don Steeler own one of those things? Is he dumb? Well, let me tell you something. Also, yes, this ship makes zero sense. The only real advantage it has is a turret that functions as a camera. But there are tons of ships that can get better views while in third person. Even if the third person camera is reeled in or limited to drones or whatever, there's no way this vehicle will be large enough to carry those drones. In short, this thing was born out of a fever dream of early development and will only really probably be used by our peers or people filming events that want to be in character, which is fine. This is a game for those kinds of people too. It was just early days and CIG was throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. And somehow this little ship was one of them. And that's one of the things that I actually absolutely love about this project. It's not filled with guardrails and safe choices. CIG's taking chances and trying to do things that other games haven't, even weird things, like the ship. Anyways, enjoy some B-roll of this thing to some YouTube version of generic heavy metal. Catch me next time.